The Haven of Rest represented well this weekend. We appreciate you all coming. Alice Beck will come and present what's going on. Alice, you won't do it? Pardon me? Brian Plank will come. I'm sorry. But, 45 years, Eastern Heights has supported the work there at the Haven of Rest. And so I think that's a wonderful testimony of what God has been doing there at the mission. So Brian, if you would come, please, sir.
Good morning. I do want to say thank you for the fact that we do have the opportunity to be here today. It didn't dawn on me until last night when I'm putting together some more comments for today about what a tremendous blessing it is to have this type of event for us to come to, because it's a chance for us to look back on what God has been doing. It's a chance for us to take stock, because a lot of times you just get caught up in the day-to-day, and then you get a chance to look back and see what the footprints of God in what you've been doing. It's just amazing. So thank you for the opportunity to do that. I've been with the Haven for about 4 years. I took over as the executive director about 2.5 years ago. And the first day I was on the job, we've never had anything like this happen before, but the guy came in with a gun and waved it around, and he was taken down under the Bristol sign by the SWAT team right after that. And I thought, my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? But fortunately, we haven't had those types of situations happen since that time, so God's been good. Chuck Swindoll made a comment one time about the most needful and useful church is the one that places itself 6 paces from the gates of hell. And I kind of feel sometimes that's where the Haven is, because we're kind of a last-ditch stop for people who have been on a downward spiral for some time. And it's our job to let them come in, and we try to pick them up. The Haven's mission is, the Haven of Rest Rescue Mission exists to move precious people from the realm of human suffering to the realm of human thriving through the power of the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's been our mantra for 64 years now. And I was thinking about how to explain what the Haven does, and I think maybe the best way is to do that through the eyes of someone who comes to the Haven as a resident. And I'm going to do it through the eyes of a resident by the name of Daniel. And Daniel came to us back in the beginning of June of this year. Daniel was 48 years old. He looked much older than that to us, but he was, a quiet, unassuming guy. He probably came to the evening meal first, which happens every day at 5 p.m. That's when anyone from the public can come and join us for a meal. Sometimes it's the only meal that people get in the course of a day. Sometimes people come in under the influence of drugs or alcohol when they're there. So it's a chance for us to interact with them and for them to be impacted by people who share the gospel with them there. At check-in, Daniel was an oddity, because Daniel came in, wasn't on drugs or alcohol. The majority of the people that come to the Haven, when they come in, they will test positive for something, either alcohol or some drug. We see a lot of meth, a lot of Suboxone. We do see a lot of alcohol. But Daniel came in, and the first person he probably saw was Jerry Price. Jerry Price is a guy that we're very, very happy to have there as one of our ministerial assistants. He's a guy that's got a big, booming voice. He's got a love for people that's just amazing. And Jerry himself is someone who had been an addict, had dealt with a lot of things. In fact, I think it was only about 6 weeks before he came to the Haven that he actually tried to commit suicide. But he came, and he's been a tremendous minister of the gospel. His life has turned around completely, and he credits a lot of his success from the mission. After the time that he would have come in and he'd gone through all the paperwork, had his drug test, had an ID check from the police department, Daniel would have gone to the shower, he would have washed his clothes, and then he would have gone to the bunk for the night. And he would have been in the dorm. And the dorm is the emergency shelter where men can come and they can stay for up to 60 days. And in that time, we try to encourage them to to start making moves in their life to start getting back on track. We have people that help them there, and so it's a situation. Daniel would have gone to bed that night. He would have woken up the next morning. He would have gone to breakfast, and we're blessed to have people who donate food to us so that we can feed the people who come to us. He would have gone from there. They would have done morning chores, because everyone who comes to the Haven is asked to help and give back. And so they do chores, they clean up, they do some other things that we'll go into as we go along here. But after chores, we have morning devotion. And it's every morning. Everyone's required to go to chapel each morning that's in the dorm. And we have a time where we take prayer requests, we pray for each other, we have a brief devotion, and then close out in prayer. And that's the way we start our day every day at the Haven. We try to stop and give a moment where we pause and give thanks to God for what He's done and for what He's doing in everyone's life. From there, most of the people that are in the dorm will go to the thrift store. Again, this is part of the giving back. They go and they're impacted by the staff that's there. They're there to try to sort the clothing and the things that people bring. And this is a tremendous ministry that a lot of people have that they may not even realize that they have, because when they come and they drop their clothes off or they drop their furniture off or whatever it may be, it's a situation that there's people that are in that basement where we take the product in, and they're the residents of the Haven, and they see the love and the caring that people have, that they bring this stuff for them to be able to prosper with, because all that money is sold in the thrift store, and all of that applies back to the ministry. So it's a case that they see on a daily basis the caring of people from the outside that come in and do those things. Three of the people at the store that are of note, one would be David. David is our store manager. David is a man who came through the program at the Haven. He was finally hired by us. He's been clean from drugs for probably a couple of years now, and is just doing a tremendous job in making sure that the Haven thrift store runs well. But he's also an inspiration to those that come in that are residents that are working there, because it's a situation to say, look, guys, I did this. You can do it too. You can make it. You can get back to a normal life again. Sabrina, the assistant manager, well, guess what? She's a recovering addict as well. She came through the Bristol, Virginia drug court program, which allows people to go through basically a lot of hoops, but it keeps them out of jail. And the hoops that they go through are things that help them get back on track as well. They have to go through classes. They have to maintain sobriety. They have to get a job. And Sabrina has done a tremendous job there, and she has a tremendous heart for people that come in that are at the Haven. And she's been able to counsel a lot as well. There's another person that Daniel would have seen, and that's Trish. Trish is a volunteer. And guess what? You can volunteer at the Haven Thrift Store. That's a place that's a tremendous help. You can go in there, you can help sort clothing, and you can be in contact with the residents. You can mentor them. You can say a good word of encouragement to them and things like that while you're working with them. Trish is somebody who's been there. Golly, she's more there than a lot of the staff is. She's there all the time, about four days a week. Is that what she does? But she's helped us out when we've had problems and things like that. She's just really, really good. One of the things that we do when we're looking at employing people at the thrift store, we try to employ in some lesser positions some of the people that have been there as a resident or that are still there as residents. We try to give preference to people who have felonies as a first line of employment for them, because it's so hard sometimes for people who have felonies on their record to get out of jail and find a job. So we're trying to give them that start with that. One of the other things Daniel would have seen over at the thrift store were the clothing vouchers. We give to people who come in off the streets who don't have anything. We make sure that they have the opportunity to get clothing, shoes, winter coats, whatever they need to make sure they have what they need to live and take care of themselves. At the end of the day, Daniel would return to the hill back from Pennsylvania Avenue, where the thrift store is, back onto Anderson Street, where the dorm is. And at that point, he'd have the evening meal again. And one thing about the evening meal, this is another place where volunteers can come into play. Daniel would have seen on many occasions volunteers come and take the time to serve, or to go out on the floor and pour drinks or pull plates and things like that from people that are eating. And it's a tremendous chance, again, to serve and to show people that you care and have a chance to give encouraging word and that sort of thing. After the evening meal, Daniel would have been involved in chores again. There's always the cleaning up. You clean up the dining room, you clean up the restrooms, you do whatever is needed there. And again, it's a chance for them to give back for what they're receiving. It's a way they can make up for the room and board that they receive. Following that, there was med call, and Daniel, bless his heart, he had a lot of medical issues, and so he would have gone to med call, and we always make sure that we take the medications in so that nobody has their medications taken with, and then we give them to the residents, and then they use them and give them back. And then following that, he would have gone to chapel. Chapel happens every evening, 7:30 to usually about 8:30. Sometimes it's a little shorter. Sometimes it goes a little longer when people get in the spirit. But it's a time where local pastors, members of churches, lay people come out, and they just share the gospel or some message that God lays on their heart that they feel like would be helpful to these guys. And it was at one of those particular sessions that Daniel gave his life back to the Lord. He rededicated himself. So that's something that's very, very important. We want to make sure that the gospel message of Jesus Christ is front and center in all we do. And of course, that had a tremendous impact on Daniel. Daniel's health problems at some points during his stay, they confined him to staying up on Anderson Avenue campus because he was just too sick to go over to the thrift store. And as a result of that, he would have seen some of the other ministries that were taking place up on the hill. He would have seen the pantry, where we have a food pantry that's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 9 a.m. to 11. People can come in and they can apply for food. And we're very blessed to have a really large pantry. We're a secondary distributor for Second Harvest Food Bank, plus we have a lot of other people that give to us. And as a result of that, we're even able to supply some other pantries in the area. But Daniel would have seen the women from the Grace Home. That's one of the places that they give back. They don't go over to the thrift store because we try to keep the men and the women apart a little bit because things go really wonky when you have them in the same area. But they serve in the pantry, and they organize the food. They help distribute the food. There's a lot to be done over there on a daily basis, and these women do a lot of good things. But they're ministered to by Ashley, who is our pantry manager. And she kind of keeps them in line, but she also has a chance to share the good word with them from time to time and help them and encourage them. Another thing that happens is that they're able to go out several days a week. Whoever stays at the Haven, they can go out and look for jobs or take care of their medical situations and things like that. Or maybe it's a legal problem they're dealing with, but they do have that time to do that while they're there. Some of the other things that Daniel would have seen while he was serving up on the hill, it would have been he would have seen the infant ministry. We have a ministry for parents of children 18 months and younger, where if they need, maybe they need wipes, maybe they need diapers, maybe they need a car seat, maybe they need a crib, we provide those things. And Daniel would have seen families coming that were in need and would have received those things. He would also have met with Alice Beck. Alice is mom to everybody up there. She kind of is somebody who has a real heart for the guys that come up there and the things they're going through. So she deals with them. We also have a caseworker who helps people find their way with different things that they may need. A lot of times when people come in that are homeless, they come in, they have lost their identification. It's either been lost or it's been stolen. So we have to start from scratch. We've even had a situation where we had a man that came in that had been born at home, so he'd never gotten a birth certificate. We had to find a birth certificate for him somehow. So, there's some amazing situations that take place. Emma is our case manager. She is very good at helping the guys get on track, get those things taken care of, help them find housing, help them find employment, just whatever it takes that is needed. Finally, because of his medical problems, Daniel had to go to the hospital for a short while. I remember talking to him while he was on his bed waiting for the ambulance to arrive, and he was just so thankful for what was being done for him there at the Haven. But he went to the hospital, and he was there for a little while, and that's probably where he came into the most contact with Russ Ryan. Russ Ryan is our director of program ministries. He takes care of all those. And Russ is another one of those persons who's an amazing story. Russ came through the program as well. He came in, he worked in the dorm and did everything that everybody else does, and finally he was hired by the Haven. He's somebody who just has such a tremendous heart because he's been there. He knows what it's like to be homeless. He knows what it's like to be an alcoholic. He knows what it's like to, just be on the bottom and not be able to not even know how to look up, let alone think about getting up again. But God has done a tremendous work in his life, and he has a tremendous ability to know when he's being, faked out and when he's being dealt with honestly. And he's able to get people back on track. And Russ is somebody who, he just is there at the Haven all the time. He lives there. He's there morning, noon, and night. He gets up in the middle of the night to let the night workers back in. He never gets a full night's sleep. We call him the grumpy old bearded man because of the fact that he is a grumpy old bearded man most of the time because he doesn't get sleep. So, but he's just got a tremendous heart. Daniel was able to get his health problems kind of straightened out, and he was able to get a job. He got a job at McDonald's. It's not the greatest job in the world, but it was a situation that he had a lot of pride in that because, it was a thing that gave him dignity again. It was a thing that gave him a pride in his work, and he was happy. He was very, very thankful for that. He was a real joy to his fellow workers at McDonald's. They loved him. So anyway, Daniel was in the Lighthouse, which is our transitional housing after that. After he got his job, he was able to move in there. Transitional housing allows people to stay for 18 to 24 months. And it's a chance for them to save money, for them to still be mentored in the faith. It's a chance for them to gain life skills. We teach financial classes and things like that help them move forward. So Daniel was doing great things. Daniel's life was going good at this point. Like I say, we don't really know much about Daniel's past. We only know he had one sister. But Daniel, he had a desire to continue to give back and to continue to volunteer, which he did that. And three weeks ago today, Daniel got up. He wanted to help with some things around the Haven as far as some of the landscaping, the things like that. So he went out and mowed. And he went out and mowed for about an hour. He went back into his room in the Lighthouse. He laid down across the bed. And he went home to be with the Lord. But I want you to know what impact people like you have on everyone up at the Haven. You gave that man his life back. You gave him a home, something that he didn't have. People like you who give out of the kindness of their heart and the love for people who have less than they do makes a tremendous impact. The Haven is entirely funded by contributions. We don't get any government funds. We don't get any funds from United Way. We don't meet all of their criteria because we are a totally faith-based organization. But you're a tremendous encourager in giving in your cash and in your in-kind donations. Our needs are increasing. We've seen more people this year than we have seen in prior years. Usually during the summer, we drop down to single digits in the dorm. This year, we've been up around 20 the entire time. During the winter, we'll go up into the 30s that we have in the dorm. We have about close to 20 men that are in our Lighthouse program, transitional housing. We have about usually somewhere between 6 and 10 women that are in the women's program. But we've just been approved by the Tennessee Department of Corrections to become an approved facility for Tennessee and as a transitional housing facility for them. And we spoke with one of their representatives on, I think it was Thursday, and we're told that we're the only place east of Knoxville that they can send people to that are parolees coming out of prison. So I think we're going to be a fairly busy site from that standpoint. So I want to thank you for what you do, and I want to encourage you to volunteer. There are a lot of opportunities to volunteer at the thrift store, the pantry, administratively. Come and be a mentor, come and speak at the chapel, just anything like that. It would be tremendously helpful and beneficial to the guys. We talked with Barbara ahead of time about the fact that she wanted to see us, to speak to the youth and get them involved. We have a lot of opportunities for youth at the Haven, and a lot of groups come up there and do help us. They've helped serve. They've helped in other ways as well. The Tennessee Avenue Christian Academy comes up on a monthly basis with their forward drama team, and it's one of the most enjoyed chapel services that we do each month. So there are ways to serve. But the most important thing is, if you want the youth to be involved, you've got to set an example. You've got to be the ones that lead, because you can't just point youth to say, this is what you ought to do. You've got to lead them into mission work. You need to be missional in the way you start your day. And that's what gets you going and makes you on mission for God throughout the day. I want to share something that my wife and I do every morning. Before I leave for work, we pray together. And I pray for the day and for what we're going to face together and apart and for others in our life. But one of the things that my wife does, because she knows that the ministry at the Haven is pretty taxing. You can tell by the emotion that I have in my voice that sometimes it can be pretty tough, because you experience just about everything there. But we go forehead to forehead. And she says, just for today, do not be angry, do not worry, but be thankful. Devote yourself to your work and be kind to people. May the love of the Father, may the courage of the Son, and the comfort of the Holy Spirit be with you today. Be strong and be courageous. And I'm so thankful for that. But again, I want to thank you for the things that you give us that we're able to share with the people there at the Haven. You are a tremendous blessing to us, and I want to say in a very large way, and that goes to the leadership here at the church. It goes to the committee that is responsible for missions here. You guys don't know the impact you're having, but you're having an impact every day. You are the ones that make it happen. We can't do it without you. We're just your hands and feet. So thank you from the bottom of our heart. Appreciate it.